Hello, everybody. This is Joe Bullis. I am your clinical coach 2 for the MELS 601 course with Dr. Todd. This evening, I was originally scheduled to be with you and kind of join in Dr. Todd's class and speak with you for a little bit, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I wanted to create a real quick video to send out to you and just kind of talk about some of the things that I was going to speak with you about this evening with Dr. Todd. As I said, my name is Joe Bullis. This is my 28th year in education, 15 years of that in the central office, in central office administration. Currently, I'm the executive director for federal programs and career and technical education for Wilkes County Schools. This is also my 15th year as an adjunct professor for Gardner-Webb. I've taught in the doctoral program and the master's program. I've been a course instructor. Now I'm a clinical coach. I also served as a dissertation chair and served on several dissertation committees. So I've been involved with Gardner-Webb for a long time. I got my undergraduate degree with Appalachian State University, but I got my master's degree and my doctoral degree with Gardner-Webb. As a matter of fact, I was in the first doctoral cohort that Gardner-Webb ever had when they first started the doctoral program. So I have a long history with Gardner-Webb and really enjoy working with them and enjoy doing what I'm doing now. I love being a clinical coach and helping students take care of the clinical internship side of the program and help progress them towards graduation so they can get their licensure. So I'm excited to be working with you, and I look forward to where we can meet face to face, if you will. But like I said, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that this evening. One of the things I was going to talk about is, first of all, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the scale handbook. This is located in your resources that you've received from Gardner-Webb, and Dr. Stedman last night at the town hall meeting made a good point. You're going to hear several things and you're going to see several things, the same thing in several places. And that's a design of the program that Gardner-Webb does. So you will have resources available to you in several different places. That way we can build consistency and inter-rater reliability as you progress through the program and you go from one platform to the next. So if you haven't yet, you should have already seen this scale handbook. This is my go-to document for my interns, as that it covers about every possible aspect of the program that you'll need to be covered. So well, you don't have to read the whole thing. Whatever course you're in at that particular time, I would recommend that you go over that quite a bit. It has a lot of good information and a lot of good resources for you. So right now we are in the MELS 601 master's program, not the masters, and you kind of picked up on that last night at the town hall meeting, as you have people who are getting their add-on degree. They've already got their master's and they're just looking to add on the school administrator licensure so they can move into being a building level administrator. Then you have what you're doing, and that's the master's program. That's people who are getting their master's at Gardner-Webb in school administration. So you will be referred to as a 601 master's cohort. A lot of the information is the same, but as you saw last night, some things are different just because of the different dynamics of what people are doing and what their goal is as far as enrolling in Gardner-Webb. So one of the things you'll be doing in 601 is a big project. Probably the best way to explain it to you. Dr. Todd's going to talk to you about some of the course content that they'll need to go over. The course instructor will go over certain content. You'll be doing assignments within the course. But one of the big projects that you'll be doing is each semester you'll have what's called an evidence, and that's a big Dr. Lamb talked about it last night. That's a real big project that will give you some really good experience in being an administrator within your school. You'll be working with people in your school. You'll be developing action plans, programs, um, different things that will have a benefit to your school. It's really great experience. It's a win-win. It creates a great experience for you and doing some administrative duties and administrative tasks. And it's also a win for your school, is that you're going to be doing some things that's going to have potentially have a really positive impact on the students at your building and your school overall. So what you will have those, you will kind of hear those big projects referred to as evidences. What is your evidences? Evidence of leadership. And with that evidences, you're going to have artifacts. Now, just like other programs, people kind of use different words for the same thing, and it'll take you a while, but you'll eventually pick up on that. But while we're talking, and what I choose to call evidences are those big projects. So evidence one, and that's how it's listed in the handbook. Evidence one, the big project that you'll be working on this semester is analysis and action plan for student learning. And just as everything else in education, there's an acronym associated with that title. So we call that the APSL. So for 601, you will be working on the APSL. Now you're gonna be using the information that you create and the documents, the narrative, and the products that you create through your activities with the APSL in several different ways. But that's going to be basically the biggest thing that you do, and what you'll focus on each semester is that evidence. So we're going to be focusing on the APSL for 601, and basically what the APSL is you're going to do some research on what it is to create and sustain a professional learning community. And then you're going to, with permission from your school, your site supervisor, whether it's your principal or your assistant principal, you're going to create a professional learning community once and kind of form that group. And Dr. Todd will talk to you a little bit about all this as well. And there'll be some questions, what if I'm already in a PLC? What if I'm already leading the PLC? And she'll go over all that with you. And then I can answer any questions as well if you'll email them to me until we actually meet. But once you create that professional learning community and develop the mission and purpose for that professional learning community, then you're going to conduct the academic needs assessment. You're going to look at some data at your school and determine the needs that might be presented through an analysis of that data. And once you determine what those needs are, then you're going to do some research on some evidence-based practices that might have a positive impact on those needs. What are some others done? What are some other recommendations out there, evidence-based, credible recommendations of some activities or strategies that may have a positive impact on a need that is identified within the school. And once you have that, then you're going to create an action plan to implement those evidence-based strategies to have a positive impact on that need. This is just you and your team. You will be leading the team. You'll be facilitating the conversations. You'll be kind of orchestrating the dynamics of the team and leading them to the goals that you and your team have set under the direction of your site, or under the supervision. You're the director here, but under the supervision of your site supervisor. And once you have created that action plan, then you're going to kind of reflect on the whole semester. That's kind of the last piece of the APSL, is reflecting on how you've changed as a leader within the competencies of leadership as identified by the 21st century school executive standards. How have you utilized some of those competencies? How have you grown as a leader with some of those competencies? So that's basically the APSL in a nutshell. Now, within the SCALE handbook, it gives a specific description of the project, the evidence, and you can read through that. And then it talks the evidence, the APSL is broken into 5 tasks, and you're going to work on each task individually. That's kind of a sequential way to do this. It kind of cuts it down into small pieces to where, as you progress through the semester, you knock out those small tasks and you make progress through the APSL as a whole. So you have a task 1, task 2, task 3, 4, and 5. There's 5 tasks associated with the APSL. You're going to work on each task individually, and once you complete that task, or as you're completing that task, you're going to get feedback from me on that. You're going to get feedback from Dr. Todd on that, and she'll explain to you a little bit of how that works. And then you're going to do any revisions that's necessary for that task, and then you'll be graded on that task. And then you'll progress through all 5 of those tasks. And once you complete the 5th task, then you'll take those tasks and you'll create a whole document, and that will be the APSL. And you will turn the whole document in as well. And then we'll go over this several times. Everything that you're hearing, you will hear again. Dr. Todd will talk about it this evening. So it's going to be several opportunities for you to review this information and hear again and get acclimated. The good thing about this is going to be your most challenging semester. Dr. Lamb kind of alluded to that last night, because the process doesn't change. The process of doing the evidences, getting feedback, making revisions, getting grades, submitting those evidences, some of the other things that you'll be doing, mentioned task stream, what you'll be doing in task stream, that process doesn't change. Some of the activities associated with that will change. You'll move from one evidence to another. So today you're doing the APSL, and you'll be doing something else next semester in 602. But as far as the process goes, that's consistent throughout the whole program. So as you progress through the program, it will become easier because you'll be more familiar with the process. So as I said, this will be your toughest challenging semester, and it will get easier as you progress through the program. But getting back to the APSL, the first thing that you'll be working on is task 1 and task 2. Task 1 is simply doing some research, and we're talking about professional document using APA, the latest APA edition, writing that document and making it into a professional scholarly had stumbled over that word, document. But it is to be a professional document. So task 1, before you can create a professional learning community, before you can engage that professional learning community, you need some background, you need some knowledge. And the best way to show that you have knowledge in creating and sustaining a professional learning community is doing the research. Before you take on that task, do the research that'll give you some direction on how to do that. So before you create a professional learning community or take over a professional learning community, you need to show the reader in the document that you're going to be writing in this project, in this evidence, you need to show the reader that you have some evidence-based knowledge of what it is to create and sustain and facilitate a professional learning community. First thing you need to do is get permission from your site supervisor, and that's probably your principal or assistant principal. Let them know what you're doing. I would go over this with them, say, this is what I want to be doing for this program. Do I have your permission to, if you're not already leading the professional learning community, maybe take that professional learning community and looking at it and utilizing it in a different way. Or if you are a member of a professional learning community, but not necessarily the leader or the facilitator, maybe taking on that role or creating a brand new professional learning community at your school, you need to get and document through an email or just some other type of documentation that you have indeed got permission to do that. So once you get permission from your site supervisor to create, sustain, take over, facilitate a professional learning community, then you do some research. Do some research on a professional learning community. And we have some resources that'll help you, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But do that research on professional learning community, utilizing at least 3 sources, 3 recognized research, evidence-based sources on what a professional learning community is, how to create it, how to sustain it, what are the dynamics of it, and then you write that down within your narrative for task 1. And then, as it says here, you research the tenets and functions of a professional learning community and assume the leadership role in developing a PLC to research, analyze data, and present suggested course of action. Now, you don't have to do that right now. The main thing you do in task 1 is researching a professional learning community. As you progress through the rest of the APSL, you will be doing this part, analyzing data, and creating the action plan. So it's not necessarily something you have to do for task 1. The main part of task 1 is getting permission to create a professional learning community, doing the research, and then and picking your members of your team and professional learning community, talking about their strengths. One part of important part of being a principal or a school administrator is recognizing the leadership capacity that others can have and identifying those strengths that others have, and placing them at the table or on the team, that where they can utilize their strengths and be of most benefit to the professional learning community. So you'll be talking a little bit about that too in task 1. And that's really all that we're going to mention, because that's something that you can start this week. As far as the APSL goes, you got a lot to get acclimated to. Dr. Todd may choose to talk a little bit more about task 2. If not, we'll go into it next week. But the main thing for you can start on right now, day 1, is to get permission from your site supervisor to create a professional learning community, do some research on professional learning community, and write down some of the strengths. And I'll show you the specifics of that in just a moment. Some of the strengths of the members of that professional learning community. That's what you can do right now. Now, we'll talk about all the other stuff later. We'll talk about the internship hours. Go ahead and document that. That's fine. If you're doing any kind of leadership stuff, you can go ahead and document that. You can do it from July 1, as Dr. Lamb said last night. However, as long as it was in preparation for this coming semester. If you were doing some things this summer that was kind of wrapping up the previous year, I don't see that as being beneficial to you at this point in time and showing leadership capacity for entering into the program for what you're doing now. But anything that you did in preparation for this school year, certainly you can count that as of July 1. So go ahead and start logging that stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about having to do that. The main purpose of this was to kind of, this video is kind of introduce myself, get you started on that big project, that evidence 1, the APSL, get you started on that, so you'll start marking progress towards that. We'll talk a little bit about it more. Now, I do want to go ahead and show you in the scale handbook, it gives descriptions. It breaks down each of the tasks for each of your evidences. In this case, the APSL. It also identifies some terminology that may be of help to you as far as making sure we're all talking the same language. When we talk about disposition, what are we talking about by that? When we talk about competency, what do we mean by that? It also show you the competencies that you'll be working with for this particular evidence as the APSL. You'll be engaging the competency of communication, change management, delegation, dialogue, inquiry, judgment, system thinking, technology, and visionary. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Just for the very nature of engaging these tasks and implementing these competencies, you're going to, by default, you're going to be working with digital learning competencies. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. You don't necessarily need to worry about that. Here are the outcomes that's expected for each of the different tasks. This is what Gardner-Webb is identifying as this is what you should accomplish, what should be the product or the outcome by engaging in the different tasks. And this is just kind of a timeline. Dr. Todd will kind of take the lead on this as far as when something is due when, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well later on. Here is, then as you get on into the scale handbook, it takes each individual task of the evidence and it breaks it down into more specifics, giving you more directions and information. So here's a detailed description. Some of the things that may create as far as artifacts. Artifacts are products that are created by default by engaging in each of these tasks. If you email your principal getting permission to create a professional learning community or taking over the role, then that email becomes an artifact. That's an artifact of what you did. And that's proof that you did it. If you have a professional learning, the first professional learning community meeting that you have, if you create an agenda, which you should, that's an artifact. If you create norms and protocols, and that will come out in the literature as you review some of the research on professional learning communities, then those norms and protocols are artifacts. That's things that were created by your activities, emails inviting people to a professional learning community, the agenda, minutes of the meeting, emails to your principal for permission. Those are all artifacts, and those can be shown in different ways. You could even have a video clip of you conducting the meeting, a picture of you facilitating the meeting, the emails, the minutes, photographs, electronic presentation. You may have done a PowerPoint during your first professional learning community meeting. That's an artifact, so on and so forth. Then it gives you, what am I supposed to write? How am I going to document this? You're going to document it in a narrative form using APA guidelines, as we said before. And these are the prompts that you're going to address as you write this task one, APSL task one. You're going to write up what happened. You're going to tell the story of what you did in that task, and you'll put it in paper in a professional document. And these are some of the prompts to help you get started. These are actually the subheadings for your paper, if you will. So the first part, first thing you need to do, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on, you go back and put it in later, it's just kind of description of the setting. You do want to describe your school. You want to let the reader know that what's your school like, what the demographics of the school, where is it located, maybe a little bit about some of the history of the school, how's the leadership, what's the demographics in terms of ethnicity, what kind of subgroups do you have? What's the makeup of the teacher? A lot of NC school report card stuff. You can pull that off of that. That'll kind of be the first part of your paper, just a description of the school, description of the setting. Let the reader know what the environment is like and the culture is like of what you're going to be working in. Once you do that, then the second subheading will be about PLC research. A minimum of 3 sources. I like to see 5, but I'll accept 3 to 5. Where you got some real good documented evidence-based research on what it is to create a professional learning community. And then you're going to talk about who's going to be on your team, or who are the members that you selected, and what is the strength of those members that you selected in your PLC selection. And then you're going to talk about that first meeting. And that first meeting, the main goal of that first meeting isn't to identify any needs at this point. That'll come in task 2. The main purpose of task 1, this very first professional learning community meeting, is establishing your norms and protocols. How's the PLC going to function? How are they going to relate to each other? What some of the rules of the way we're going to conduct business when we have these meetings, is to discuss the vision and the purpose of this professional learning community. What is the purpose? What is the vision? You as a leader, you as a facilitator, when you get a group of people together, you need to facilitate that conversation and give direction to that group of people. So here you're going to talk about the vision and the purpose of the PLC. And that's task 1. How many pages it needs to be? Well, that depends on you. That depends on you. There's no standard answer. We're not looking for a number of pages. If we feel like you need to put some more detail in there, I will coach you towards that. If you have too much, Dr. Todd and I will coach you away from that to back down a little bit as well. So you just tell your story. If we feel like you need to tell some more of it, we'll let you know. If we feel like you're talking too much and just put it in fluff that really doesn't have a purpose, that really doesn't add to the quality of the paper, then we'll let you know that as well. And that's task 1. Now I'm going to skip down task 2, 3, 4, and 5 right now. We'll talk about that later on, but I do want to scroll down because also in the scale handbook, you will have a rubric. This is the rubric that your evaluator will use. This is the rubric that Dr. Todd uses. This is the rubric that I use. This is the rubric that the evaluator, when you when you submit all this for licensure, will use in determining what level of proficiency you have reached. Just kind of like this evaluation that you go through as a teacher, and the school executive will go through. Here's the prompt. Here's the assignment of the APSL task 1. Here's the prompt. Once again, it gives directions on what you need to write upon. And then you have emerging, developing, proficient, or accomplished. And these two, proficient or accomplished. Proficient would be a level 3, accomplished would be a level 4. And proficient is the mark that you have to hit. And you can go up to accomplished. You can do more, and it tells you what to do and how to accomplish level 4 here. But this is the mark that you must meet to move forward into the program and forward into the course. So once again, this just tells you, as you write your narrative, these things have to be included in that narrative. Research on a professional learning community, which includes 3 sources or more written in APA format. Documenting who you selected for your PLC, what are their roles, what part are they to play, what do they bring to the table, what strengths do they have, how they want to function within the team. You need to show that you can recognize that and delegate that and And it's not checkers, it's chess, which is a great book. And it's not just putting pieces on the board, but in chess, each chess piece has a specific strength and a specific role to play in the dynamics of that game. And that's kind of as you pick people to be on teams and the assignments or the way you delegate those teams is strategic, and you need to be able to show that you can strategically lead people and facilitate groups to accomplish a task. And then you want to talk about that first meeting. With the main goal of that first meeting is the vision and the purpose of the PLC. It's not a data analysis. It's not looking at the data yet. That will come in task 2. That first meeting, or the first part of that meeting, needs to be about establishing the vision and the purpose of that PLC. That's ABSOL task 1. If you have any questions, email me. Now, another thing I want to talk about before I leave you is I want to show you my Blackboard and just kind of show you how my Blackboard is laid out. And now you should be looking at my Blackboard screen at this point in time, and just make sure, I'm not sure, might as well look a little bit different than yours because just obviously I got different rights to the program that you have. But as you look for your courses in Blackboard, you're going to basically have 2 courses or two links. You're going to have Dr. Todd's course shell, and then you're going to have Dr. Bullis's internship shell. So Dr. Todd, within her shell, some of the things will be the same. Some of the resources, the content, the way it looks will be very similar, but you utilize the different shells for different purposes. Dr. Todd will talk to you about her course shell, what's located in there, how are you to use that. You should already be familiar with that, and you may already be familiar with my shell as well. But they're designed for different purposes of the program. So Dr. Todd will talk about her course shell. So just make sure that you know the difference, and make sure that you can get a little confusion of, okay, what shell am I in? What am I doing in each shell? So just make sure that you know what shell you're in and the purpose, that you're in there for. So you have Dr. Todd's course shell and you have my internship shell, or clinical internship shell. And you may see a couple, but of mine, like if you see, I've got one that says MELS clinical internship shell, MELS clinical internship shell, not currently available. You don't want to access anything like that. You want to look for this title here, MELS clinical internship _ Bullis. That's the one that you want to click on. If you have a hard time finding that, just let me know. But you click on that internship shell. My computer's running a little bit slow. All right, so this is my clinical internship shell, and here's all the resources located on the side, and then depending on which one of these you click will determine what's populated in the big screen. So, and there again, mine's gonna look a little bit different for yours because I have things here hidden that we just don't use. So you won't be seeing some of these items. You have the home page. Under content, I've placed some information there. First of all, here's a good article on PLC. It's a little bit dated, but it still contains really good information. Rick and Peggy DeFore and Bob Eaker are recognized experts in the field of professional learning community. So here's a little article that will help you out as you write that task 1, establishing PLC norms. That's something that can help you with task 1 of the ABSOL as well. And here we'll talk with this document a little bit later on, but it is a crosswalk between some of the things that you'll be utilizing in the course, and we'll go over that later on. The main thing I wanted to show you here was these 2 pieces of information that will help you in task 1. Scroll down to, of course, here's the help link, which will take you to technical help on Blackboard, and it's taking a little bit to load. You can check that out yourself. So I'm gonna pop back over here. Internship shell or intern shell directions. Here's information that Dr. Lamb put in about how to navigate the internship shell. Also, if you want to forward, this may not be applicable anymore. I need to check on that. But here's a little video on how to forward your Gardner Web email to your regular email, but I think there's been some new security protocols put in place by Gardner Web that no longer makes that applicable. So I'll need to check on that. Under templates and resources, this is some information on peer review. Dr. Todd will go over with you about that. When you have to do an annotated bibliography, here's some information on that. But then here is some information on a lot of the evidences that you're going to be working on. So let's look at the APSL. Here's a template that will help you as you begin the APSL. Here are some helpful hints that one of the professors have put in for everybody to use on doing the APSL. Here is also some of the other evidences that you'll be dealing with later on. So right now you just want to focus on the APSL and the APTL. So look over that. Let me know what questions you have about that. And so that's under templates and resources. Also, you will see what my schedule is, when I'll be working with you, when I'll be in Dr. Todd's class, and when will I be meeting with you individually. I've already sent that out in the form of the email. So look over that. If you got any questions about that, let me know. Any videotapes, which the video that I'll be doing here, but I said videotape, so I just dated myself. But anyway, any videos that I do, which there any recordings that we do of class, you can find here in the video library. These are some of the ones I've done in past semesters, but you would click on Fall of 2021. You would look for MELS 601 Dr. Todd. I have two cohorts that I'm working with, Dr. Todd's and Dr. Church's, which if you were in the town hall meeting last night or seen that recording, then you realize that. But you would access the videos for Dr. Todd's class. Now we'll be meeting as both cohorts on September the 9th, Dr. Todd and Dr. Church's MELS 601 cohort. So I'll be working with both of you. Really, there's not many differences in what you have to do. So I'm going to put the two cohorts together, and gives you more of an opportunity to network with some other candidates. But then that way everybody's hearing the same thing at the same time. But you would access cohort specific recordings such as this in a folder. So once I finish this, I'm going to send you the YouTube link to it, but I also put any recording that I've done you can find here as well. That will be in the video library. Handbooks. The handbooks that we talked about last night in town hall, your site supervisor handbook, your clinical internship handbook, the scale handbook is all located here. So it's just another place for you to access those. And then this is where you submit documents to me. And we'll go over that a little more when you kind of wrap up task one and get ready to submit some things. We'll talk about how we're going to do that. You have a link here as APSL Task for Review and APSL Evaluation Dropbox. This is where we revise and polish your task. This is where we submit it for grading. We don't submit it for grading until we finish the revision process. The revision process takes place here in this discussion board. This is an assignment Dropbox, is where you drop the assignments in for grading. And I will not open that up to you or direct you to submit anything to Evaluation Dropbox until it is until it's grade 100, until it is going to get a grade of 100. That way we can just kind of control the quality of that document. And so once you submit it, you know that it is great, and you have done just about any revision you're going to be able to do, and you get 100 points for it, and it's graded at 100, and it is ready to go. It is a finished product. So we won't let that happen until we know that it's a finished product. How do we get it to a finished product? That's what we do in this area up here, Task for Review. All right, so that's kind of my Blackboard shell. You can look over that and just email me with any question that you have. I look at Gardner Webb email every hour on the hour. A lot of times on the weekends, I'm engaging in some activities where I'm not around internet, so I don't check Gardner Webb email as often on the weekends as I do other times. But during the week, every hour on the hour, I'm checking Gardner Webb email. So email me a question. I will get back to you same day, 24 hours at the latest. If you submit anything to me, I will return it to you same day, 24 hours at the latest. Over the weekend, that may be a little bit different, but we'll kind of work through that as we go through. Each professor each clinical coach kind of, it's just kind of like each classroom in the school. Teacher, there's 3 or 4 fourth grade classes. They're teaching the content. They're doing it a little bit differently according to their teaching style and the dynamics of their personality. Same way at Gardner Webb. The big things are all consistent, but each person may do it a little bit different, may have it a little bit different just based on what their personality is, what their leadership style is, and then also what how their life functions from day to day as well. So anyway, what we've done is we've introduced you to the scale handbook. We talked a little bit about what's contained in that. We've talked to you about APSL, the evidence, and we talked about task 1 to get you started in writing and making progress towards that. I've shown you my clinical internship shell, which is not to be confused with Dr. Todd's core shell. And we've gone over some of the resources that's contained in there as well. So appreciate your time. I hope you find this video beneficial. And once again, I apologize for not being able to be there this evening, but we will certainly be there next week with Dr. Todd. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or you need any help, feel free to email me. You should all know my email address at this point in time. It is jmb0821@gardnerwebb.edu. Looking forward to working with you this semester. It's going to be a great semester. We will get through this. Just rely on me, and I will help you through it. Dr. Todd has been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time. We have proven track record of making successes and helping people be successful. So you are in good hands. Trust me, you're in good hands, and we will take you through this and we'll go through it together. I hope and pray that you stay safe and healthy and your family stay safe and healthy, and reach out to me if I can help you. You guys take care and God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.